Is the state of Florida up for grabs? Not among three, but among four. We will get to that a little bit later in the hour. We've got Cam Underwood on the line from State of the U, talking up Miami football, of course. In the month of June, recruiting has been hot and heavy across the nation in the ACC, and especially doing very well. Manny Diaz. He's not Manny Fernandez, the former Miami defensive lineman of the no-name defense. He would be Manny Diaz, the head coach of the Miami Hurricanes and staff. Cam, how are we doing tonight?
Good, man. Good. Glad to be here. Charged up, fired up, ready for a solid hour, and we'll see. But yeah, having a good time.
My excuse is that my brain always defaults to NFL history, number one. And number two, I did record a segment with a buddy a couple nights ago, and we were discussing great all-time defenses with nicknames. Steel Curtain, Doomsday, no-name defense. Manny Fernandez just spilled out of my mouth on that one. All right, let's get to the Canes, of course, coming off a huge weekend and looking forward to another one. What are the highlights based on the social media chatter and what you have been able to bring forth based on your sources from last weekend?
Well, first of all, there were finally two commitments. So we started to see more movement. So Kamari Rogers, the number one cornerback on the board, he committed he's from Mississippi, Holmes County. And then three-star wide receiver Landon Abeta, who we talked about last week, he also committed. He's from Louisiana. Both of them are teammates on the Louisiana Bootleggers 7-on-7 team, one of the elite teams in the country, and there are many of them. So I'm not going to go down the list, but among that elite group are the Bootleggers 7-on-7 from Louisiana, and those two committed. They actually Landon let it out in his interview with 247 Sports after his commitment that he and Kamari actually committed at the same time. They were on South Beach. The coaches, DeMarcus Van Dyke and Rob Likens, both respectively, because they were actually on the sand. Both of those gentlemen actually jumped into the ocean to celebrate those commitments. It was let out. But Kamari went public with his first on Saturday night, and then Landon went public with his on Sunday, but they actually happened like at the same exact time on the visit. So, yeah, awesome. Awesome. So you're starting to see the foundation of a class being built. You had your quarterback already in Ja'Cory Brown. You already had a wide receiver in Quan Lee. And then you had, another wide receiver in Abeta, who, again, 3 stars, fine, 6 foot, 180 pounds. Go put on the film, bro. Honestly, if I didn't tell you anything about him, and you click the film, you'd be like, oh, that's a 4 or 5 star. Like, he's always open. He's running away from guys, making guys miss, making plays in, special teams, offense, inside, outside, just all over the place. Again, I put in there in his Welcome to the U piece that I wrote, the video from him at LSU, lighting on fire a 5-star defensive back. And you literally hear people standing next to the guy videotaping like, who is that? You know what I mean? Because he's making those kind of plays. So that's a guy who's coming down here and landing Abeta. And then Kamari Rogers, he's just everything you want in a cornerback, 5'11", 6 feet tall, dynamic ball skills. Mr. HD, you did tell us that Kamari Rogers was committing. We did get that Father's Day present from my boy JP. Shout out to JP because he watched the show afterwards. I was like, hey, I appreciate that mention. Hey, man. So not only the one that you got before Father's Day on Kamari Rogers on Saturday, but also Landon Abeta. So, yeah, you got 4 guys in the class now, and you kind of start to see how things are trending to build. Miami's looking for a top-tier kind of class. So we're going big game hunting. We're going after the top-tier kind of talent that's out there. And then leaving time to circle back on the plan B, plan C options if it needs to go there. With a lot of people visiting now, finally with outside being open in the month of June, seeing a lot of movement on that, seeing all these different kind of things, and then hopefully there's a lot of commitment dates in July at the beginning. I'm going to get to those things in a second. So a lot of commitment dates in July. So we're going to start to see, okay, where the board goes and settles in July, and then that'll inform the forward path. Again, working on the foundation of 18 to 20, let's call it, high school commitments in this class, counting a couple guys forward from previous, and then leaving room for some transfers through the transfer portal. So that's the number I'm looking at. But when you have that, that's pretty good. So, yeah, starting to see that movement going towards that July 4th weekend, like I said previously before June, but even through that next week, there's a lot of commitments that are on July 3rd, July 4th, July 7th, July 8th, July 10th, July 11th, July 14th off the top of my head that I've seen for guys that mine is connected to. So seeing that moving forward. After the weekend was already set, Damari and Jakari Henderson, they're twins. I've mixed the names up together for the first one, my bad. But from Sanford Seminole High School, that's Aravius Armstrong, or Ray Armstrong went there. That's Andre Dubose was on that same team. Dyron Dye, I think, who also went to Miami, was on that same team from Sanford Seminole. So the Henderson twins, Jakari and Damari, there we go, I got it right, are, 3-star, 4-star defensive backs, both in the 6'1", 170 range. I always get this one mixed up. So yeah, they're like 3 stars right now. Jakari plays corner, Damari plays safety. But both of them are really, really athletic, long-limbed, and everything like that. So they actually took visits starting on Monday to Miami, official visits, the two of them. So, this is still continuing to expand the defensive backboard as guys are coming and visiting and getting, the twins down here for that. Nick Cull from Donaldsonville, Georgia, Seminole County. He's a guy who's trending very strongly towards Miami. I think there's been 2 or 3 or 4 crystal ball predictions for him. And this is a guy, again, at 5'11", 6 feet tall, long limbs. He can play corner. He can play safety. Depends on, or striker even. Depends on where you're looking at him. But I think Miami really made a move there. Wesley DeSaint has been and remains the #1 target at linebacker, so we're still going after him. Anthony Lucas is a potential 5-star defensive tackle from Scottsdale Chaparral, whose father actually attended Miami as a non-athlete, as a student, like myself. And he is Haitian by descent. So obviously down here in Miami, in South Florida, there's a heavy Haitian population, including some people on staff. Ishmael Aristide, Ed Pata, Brian Pata, who unfortunately was murdered, and they're still looking for his killers years ago. His brother is on staff and everything. He's of Haitian descent, and there's other people around the athletic department as well. And that's been a thing that really has been a connection. And obviously it's his father's alma mater, not necessarily saying that locks it up or anything. But, Miami's in a strong position to make a move with him. So follow that logic. In a position to make a move. We have not made the move, but we've opened his eyes to potentially make a move moving forward with Anthony Lucas, who's everybody's All-American at defensive line. He says defensive end, but when you're 6'4.5", 280 already in high school, you're 2 cheeseburgers away from 300, buddy. You know what I mean? Like, I get that, defensive end is fun, and that's what you do now. Kick inside. You can even be 290 and maintain that athleticism and be a monster. So I would appreciate that. But, hey, in the same way that James Williams says that he's a safety and nothing else, Mr. Lucas says he's a defensive end and nothing else, and I will not begrudge him on that point. Get on my roster, and we will figure it out. You know what I mean? If we have to do any extra cardio or, extra protein in the mess hall, or the not the mess hall. Geez, we're not the Army, but in the cafeteria after practice with the nutritionists and everything. Andrew Chambly is committed to Arkansas, but Miami opened his eyes and his mother apparently to making her comfortable with potentially Miami being the fit. He's going to announce his final commitment further in the summer. That's one of the July commitments, I believe. But like I said, he's committed. He's from Arkansas and committed to Arkansas. But Miami, the visit actually did them well. Not saying that he's going to end up here, but we will see. R.J. Russell Maryland Jr., the son of the legendary Miami Hurricane, came as a visitor last weekend. He was a last-second addition, a tight end at 6'4", so like 6'2.5", 6'3", from South Lake Carroll in Texas. So one of the storybook programs out there, and everything. We'll see how we go with that. There were some people saying that no Miami legacies come to Miami, and I'm like, Al Blaze Jr. literally has his father's name and is on the roster. You know what I mean? Like the same name as his father is on the roster. Like you talk about other guys that have been here. You had Ray Lewis III, again, had his father's name. Alonzo Highsmith, AJ Highsmith has his father's name. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, you miss me with we don't get any legacies, but that was obviously something worth noting from the past. We had those 2 commitments, and then those guys And then really just setting up what's going to move forward with this weekend with the visits and also with Paradise Camp, because the calendar's changed, the recruiting calendar. So normally Paradise is a late July thing before the season closes down the calendar. They go back to the quiet period and dead period. But with only a month live period going back to a quiet period on the 28th, I want to say on Monday, upcoming, there's a lot of camps that are going on, had to be moved up into June, including Paradise Camp. It's going to be a little bit different. We can talk about that a little bit later, but yeah. Going to the couple comments, Omar Graham Jr., who committed to Florida State. He's one of the ones who decided to go elsewhere. With all due respect, was not a take for Miami at this point with what we're looking at and who we have on the board for linebacker. So we did bring him in for a visit and everything. Do I believe that he can play at the Power 5 level? Absolutely, 100%. But what we're looking at, we like more. So, vaya con Dios, we wish you all the best, but he was not a take at Miami right now. So, Florida State, or buddy, do with that what you will. It is also interesting, Marvin Jones Jr. on his official visit to Florida State, son of Marvin Jones, who played at Florida State, who's from Miami, by the way, look it up, was pictured throwing the infamous "you down" hand sign and everything. And then I saw people just jumping on him about that, including a good friend, Andrew Farrelly, who's just like, oh, cool. So you're going to go there and never beat Miami, just like your father never beat Miami. And I saw people like, no, that's not true. 1990 to 1992. Go look it up. He and Deion Sanders both never beat the Hurricanes. So if that's what you want to do, bro, that's what you want to do. But Marvin Jones Jr. is one of the million elite defensive ends, edge rushers down here in South Florida this cycle. Just so you know that and everything. And next cycle, in case you're wondering, okay, this year is all about the defensive lineman. What about next year? Wide receiver. So that also circles back to if people are upset about taking a commitment from Landon Abeta, if you're saying he cannot play here or whatever, which I disagree with because I believe he can play here, again, go watch the film. If you're upset about that, you should be very excited about the fact of recruiting over him with the litany, any of the litany of amazing wide receivers in 2023. So either you have a great guy who can play here and play up his abilities and develop here in a beta, and then you add on other elite talents, or you have a guy that you're starting to get a foothold a little bit in Louisiana. You bring him over, and he's not to the level, and then you recruit other guys over him. Either way, I think it's a good situation for Miami.
There is so much I want to take from what you just stated there, just bits and pieces here and there that struck me in different ways. One being that we all know of positions in sports where there are players who would like to fashion themselves as another position in that sport, like the second baseman who wants to show off that they have the arm to play shortstop, for example, or the center that wants to show that they can shoot a little bit from the outside and step out there, especially in more traditional basketball setups with the 5 positions and so forth and so on. I never really thought of that, though, from the defensive line position where maybe some of those guys that are better fashioned for the inside want to say, you know what? It's a little sexier to play outside in space. I don't want all those big bodies leaning on me all the time. Let me play out there and be the edge rusher who can rack up some sacks and get some glory. But yeah, that's certainly one that I hadn't considered before. When you mention Abeta, did I pronounce that correctly? The wide receiver?
Landon Abeta. Abeta, yeah.
Landon Abeta. Okay, so I don't want to pigeonhole him with a stereotype, but I'm basing it on the skin color and the size at 5'11", 185, and the skin color. Is this a Hunter Renfrow type player? Of course, a very poor man's Hunter Renfrow at this standpoint, but that type of wide receiver.
I mean, he's 6 foot, 6'1"-ish, so a little bit physically bigger, and also in that 180 range, so a little bit more muscular. But, I mean, he can play inside. He can play outside. He's jumping over dudes in his highlight film. You know, he's playing on special teams and everything. But, I mean, the fact of it is he's a white kid from Louisiana. So that is going to be a barrier that some people are going to have to get over, you know, for whatever reason. I don't think that that's fair to the kid, to be perfectly honest. But it is a thing, you know, and I've seen all of the comparisons. Oh, he's a game rat. He's a Hunter Renfrow. He's a Wes Welker. He's a Julian Edelman. And I mean, just any litany of successful, talented white slot receiver. They're just saying he's that. But you know what? If he plays to that level, fine. You know what I mean? We can call him Roscoe Parrish. We can call him Daryl Jones. We can call him, well, no, not Travis Benjamin, because Travis Benjamin was a different kind of fast. But, we can say any of the, slot receivers that Miami's had over the course of, years past. Hey, Mike Harley even. You know what I mean? We just make those comparisons just to everything. But, there is the fact that he's a white wide receiver. So, do with that what you will. But if he continues to do what he's done, and again, go check the Welcome to the U piece I put up on State of the U, scroll down to near the bottom before the last little thing where I would say welcome, welcome to the U, player's name or whatever. But before that last thing, I always embed the highlights, wherever I find on YouTube or Huddle. Go and watch it. And watch what he did. Go look at that video that I put higher up in there of him abusing a 5-star cornerback and people asking, who is this kid? Because I'm expecting this cornerback to lock everything down. So, the other statement with that, or the unsaid part of things is, I did not expect this defensive back to lose any reps at all. I definitely did not expect him to lose this rep to this kid. And I did not expect him to lose this rep with this other kid doing what he did and running the route the way he did to go over and make all this happen. So who is this? The answer is Landon Aveda. Go and look it up. So whatever your feeling is on it, I'm fine with that take. And again, whether it fits right now or it's a fit for right now, while we're going to process some guys off the roster because all the wide receivers are not coming back next year. I'm just spoiler alert anyway. And I'm not just talking about graduation. And then we have this amazing, incredible crop of South Florida wide receivers next year, which is more than you can shake stick at. Either way, it's good.
And quite the back and forth between Mr. HD and Phil, between Florida State and Miami, and then, of course, Marvin Jones. So I checked it as well, because as soon as I saw the years on Marvin Jones, who is a great all-time collegiate football player, no question about that, 1990 to 92, as Cam stated, he was a victim of the original wide right and then a wide left the next year, I believe, or the second wide right, whatever it was the second time around.
Those two wide rights.
Two wide rights before the wide left later in the decade, I think.
Wide left wasn't. There was one before Xavier Betia in 2002. There was a wide left before that? Because I don't remember that.
I just know the first one was a wide right, and then I lose track of them. But there's at least 3 of them. Yeah,
the wide rights were back to back.
Okay, so Marvin Jones, yes, he was victim of the first 2 wide rights.
That has got to sting like the Dickens.
Because, as soon as I saw Mr. HD's comment, I pretty much figured, he's on the money, because I knew that the 92 Canes went undefeated in the regular season. The 91 went all the way through undefeated national champions. 1990, I just wanted to double check on. That was the team that crushed Texas in the Cotton Bowl. All right. Good stuff. And we got a couple super chats. We want to make sure we get to those because there could be questions attached. So let's honor these folks first and foremost. Hurricane Logan, thank you so much for the super chat. Appreciate that. Love from Hurricane Logan. Cam is still the GOAT. Yes, he's not giving up that title. Mark, you too. Okay, thank you very much. Canes were coming up. Cam, give me a Florida State score prediction and your favorite song by Mary J. and Alicia Keys.
Yikes.
Good vibes.
Wow. Okay. That is a 7-part question. I think it will be, so let's go down the list. First of all, thank you for the comment. Appreciate that. 1, if Florida State stays within 4 scores, 4 touchdowns of Miami, that's a win for them. No More Drama is an easy one to go to for Mary J. Blige. If I Ain't Got You is just a seminal Alicia Keys song. Also, Diary. I talked about it on here before with Tony. If only for the end of the song when she gets absolutely sung down by one of the background singers in there. They, whoa, 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 and he just goes over the top and just continues to, and she's trying to turn on, the emotion and the gravitas of what she's singing and all these runs and everything. And he's just singing her under the table. It's incredible for that. So it's not even necessarily her, because Alicia Keys is not a very good singer. She's kind of a middle of the road, average vocalist. Let's just admit that. She has designs on being a soprano, which everybody does. Every treble-voiced singer wants to be a soprano. Why? Because they get the starring roles, because they have the melodies, because it is the glamour position. It is the starting pitcher, it is the quarterback of vocal positions. She's an alto. You're an offensive lineman, maybe a tight end, maybe that second baseman that Mark mentioned before. Still starting, still important, still integral to what we do, but you're not the superstar in the vocal world. And Alicia Keys wants to be that and does not have that physicality. She does not have the voice for it. That's like me trying to sing tenor. That's like me trying to sing Justin Timberlake. Now, I do sing Justin Timberlake songs, but behind closed doors and everything, and I will sing my falsetto for fun, but not in this professional way to be at the top level of the vocal game, like Alicia Keys has designs on doing with her voice in a soprano setting, and she simply doesn't have the physicality for that. So again, it's not even her, because at the end it becomes another song. It's not even her song anymore because she gets sung down. So that's my answer. Either If I Got You, just because of the piano, which I love, and then Tony, guest starring on Diary, because it's incredible.
Folks, we'll get back to football in just a second, I promise, but I got to ask Cam this question, because I grew up in a family of, I don't want to call us musicians, but my mom can play the piano. People can play instruments and sing, and we're in choirs, in church and, that sort of thing, but not professionally. Although my mom has played professionally. Okay. So I'm not a singer. I can carry a tune generally, not that I'm never off key, but I can carry a tune, but I'm not a singer. I would never get paid to sing. And it bothers me when there are certain entertainers who are given credit by the general public, because the general public really doesn't have much of an ear for great singing. They kind of just... So I gotta think that drives you crazy, because it drives me crazy when I hear a national anthem or whatever. We can go in different genres, and I'm like, really? That's acceptable? And I try not to be a snob about it, right? But still,
I mean, there's a level of snob in there, and with all due respect, I'm better than most people, and I know more than most people in that area. Facts are facts.
Of course.
You know what I mean? But if I'm watching a game that has a national anthem, I invariably will live tweet about it. I know that there are people who look forward to that during, national championship games and NBA finals and things like that. I get enjoyment out of that as well. But seeing other people, some that are glorified for the talent that they have, when they actually lack that talent, is kind of infuriating. Even one of my favorite musicians, who I wish would get back into the studio, and I know that she has other things on her plate and that she wants to do right now, Rihanna. Rihanna's not a great singer, but Rihanna made strides from being jokingly, laughingly bad to passable. And her music jams. So I'm willing to overlook that and say, I'm not here for your voice like you're Whitney Houston singing, If I Will Always Love You, or whatever, that starts a cappella. Cool. I pulled up for your voice for that. For Rihanna, no. Run me the beat from work. Turn that up. You got all the vibes, all that kind of stuff. But seeing other people who are praised for certain things, which is similar. If we're spinning this back into sport, right? I have a good friend, Bailey. Shout out, Bailey. I know you're watching right now. Who is a big Memphis Grizzlies fan, and he detests Grayson Allen because he thinks that there are other people who could fit better and things like that. But Grayson Allen has this view, or he's held in this esteem by the organization and the coach and all these other people for being what they thought he could have been after his freshman year at Duke, which 7 years on, he is not that player. And it's frustrating because it's like, you're still looking at him like it's this whatever years ago, and he's not that. Same thing in a musical kind of context. Or, and I can even spin it to the Miami Hurricanes. There are guys who are taking snaps on the team who we thought might be better than they actually are, they're being propped up in the same way that Mark was talking about, getting all this acclaim and playing time and things like that for performances that they've not had. And it is frustrating because they don't embody the success that should come with the viewpoint or the esteem in which they're held. And I know that there are people in the chat who are naming names. And yes, those are the names.
Falconer X, even if you don't have a comment or question, we appreciate your super sticker contributions. Falconer X, he of the super sticker. I don't even know how you do that, but he is always sending us the super stickers. Thank you for that. Super chat coming in from Big Show. Clemson fan here. I really hope y'all beat Bama. It will be good for the ACC. Hope to see y'all in the ACC championship game and see if Clemson still has it in us.
Awesome. First of all, thank you for the contribution and question, Big Show. I also hope that we beat Alabama. It would be great for the University of Miami Hurricanes and the ACC. And I would look forward to seeing you guys in the ACC championship game. Number one, because I'm not scared, even though you've blown our doors off repeatedly recently. But yeah, I want to see if eventually Miami can get back to where we're climbing that mountain and finding success against one of the better teams and better programs in America in the Clemson Tigers.
Anthony's got a question coming in for Cam. And again, you guys produce the show and are doing a nice job of it tonight with your comments and questions. Can you name 2 to 3 highly rated recruits that Miami has a good shot at that aren't necessarily on most people's radar right now?
Yikes, man. I mean, just at the top, obviously, a lot of movement has happened this month with visits and everything. So number one is Shamar Stewart. I know that everybody knows about him, 5-star All-American from Monsignor Pace. But he's going to visit this weekend for Paradise Camp to hang out while kids are on their official visits. And that makes his 4th visit in the last 3 weeks. I'm sorry, in the month of June since the 1st. So he was there the 1st, the 2nd for the cookout and cookout 1, cookout 2. Came back the next weekend when Monsignor Pace made it to the championship game with the 7-on-7 camp tournament that they had there, and then he's coming back again. That can only be viewed as positive. Recruiting rule number 6, follow the visits. Bro. But that's one, and I know that it's tough because an All-American defensive lineman like that, he's Alabama-sized, as a defensive end. LSU, Georgia, Ohio State, Clemson, everybody in America, USC, even dipping into the Southeast to get a 5-star defensive end to come out there. Everybody in America wants this kid. But he's not trending towards Miami, although there have been some tentative thoughts that, okay, that could be happening, but he keeps coming around and everything. And that can only be something that you view as positive. Traquan Fagans, who visited a couple weeks ago from Alabama, we'll see how that goes with him. And if he takes another unofficial visit down here, if things heat up between him and Alabama or anybody else in the Southeast, there's that kind of looming out there. We've already talked about Nigel Kelly. Earl Little Jr. is going to Alabama, so that's not it. Julian Armella from St. Thomas Aquinas, that could be one, but he is thinking highly of LSU, and LSU has gotten a couple offensive linemen from St. Thomas Aquinas in the last couple of years. Highly rated guy who, man, the thing about it is, I don't think that there's any players who we've really not connected with already, at least through this month. We've really tried to push to get these guys down here. So yeah, unless somebody falls out of the sky, I don't know that I have an off the beaten path, underrated, unknown, unconnected 4-star, 5-star off the top of my head. That's not knowledge I have.
All right. Look at Falconer X. Appreciate that. Thank you so much for the super chat, along with your super sticker. We love Cam because he has mad knowledge. It's a good thing I squinted there. I was going in another direction on that. Mad knowledge about the Canes football and is well-rounded with other skills like most Miami alums. Too bad Florida State fans only have football and fast food jobs to talk about. I just read them. Okay.
That's like when I did shout outs at Miramar during the games. They would pass them to me, and I would put them in between plays, and I would have to read and say, well, and this goes from the. Hold on, I'm gonna put that one to the bottom so I can read it again before I read it. But yeah.
I cut a couple segments this week on Florida recruiting, more from the vantage point of course, the Gators competition and trying to maintain the SEC Eastern Division with Georgia being the juggernaut they are, not necessarily from the vantage point of the competition in state, the Sunshine State against Florida State and Miami. Cam, though, would like to reference an article that was written and released sometime this week on SI that involves Florida's recruiting situation involving the big three plus maybe one.
It was 12 hours ago, so it was today. But basically, and I'm going to read you the headline. Why UCF football will pass Miami football within the state of Florida's recruiting hierarchy. I'm going to let you digest that for a second. And now you may begin to laugh because it is laughable. No, it's just no. And like the piece, and I sped read through it before, or when Mark was beginning the show, right when he clicked public or go live or whatever and everything. But this is a hack job of the highest order. It really is. And, you're referencing years of, poor play and things like that. And, the decline of the program and haven't won a championship and all the decommitments through the Al Golden era and all kinds of things, which are true, but they're half-truths too. Because even with these losing seasons, even with that kind of stuff, Miami still recruited to a top 25 level, if not higher. You know what I mean? And there's not going to be a time that UCF gets a kid that Miami actually wants. A kid who has a Miami offer, but is one of those, option B, C, D, E, F kids. Sure. Stefan Zeus, who went there, defensive end from Dillard High School, played on the same defensive line as Jay Wright. I believe that was his name. He was defensive end, and Jonathan Ford. All three of those guys played Division I football. Stefan Zeus was 6'6", 200 pounds. He wasn't a take for Miami. And he wasn't the kind of freaky athlete that Gregory Rousseau is. So they're going to say, oh, well, they're about the same. No. Did he go to UCF? Yes. Did he gain the weight over time? Yes. Was he able to play there? Absolutely. But in no universe did it exist that he was somebody that Miami wanted. And then they got. If you look at Antoine Collier, if you look at Bentavious Thompson, if you look at Dredrick Snelson, all those guys had Miami offers. Snelson was even committed to Miami at one time. No, sorry, all three of them were committed to Miami at one time. And then they were processed, they were dropped, while Miami moved on to other targets, other players who were more athletic, able to play at this level, and move forward. And then those guys went to UCF. And that's the path, that's the pattern that can and will happen. But Miami losing out on an All-American, on a blue chip recruit that they want to UCF, one, is not going to happen, and two, it's not going to flip up the hierarchy. You know what I mean? The hierarchy right now, and I hate to say it, is probably Florida 1, Miami 1A, big gap, Florida State, big gap, medium gap, UCF, big gap, everybody else. But to say that UCF is going to eclipse Miami in the hierarchy, so not even just 1 year in like recruiting better than them, but in the pecking order of teams that you think of in terms of Florida recruiting, you're going to have that program invert above Miami on the hierarchy of things on the, no, absolutely not. Absolutely not. And it's asinine. It's such a hit job. It's such It's such bullshit. And then it's going to be, oh, well, if Miami doesn't play well in the 2010s, even, again, guys who I know, there's even a couple guys who write for State of the U, and I'm going back and forth with them like, what are you thinking, bro? And again, not even for one recruit, not even for one recruiting cycle or two, but saying that the whole pecking order of everything is going to change and have UCF over Miami. That's just not going to happen. I'm so sorry. And, I know Sports Illustrated is not what Sports Illustrated once was. It's basically, it's a fan site and running, I think, the best or one of the best fan sites around. I understand how that works. But it's such a low-level hack job. Just we're going to say whatever just to get clicks, just to get people mad. This is a whole trolling piece to, whatever any negative publicity is publicity and things like that. It has, I won't say no logical foundation, but dubious at best, because everything that was said in that piece, in that hit piece, we're talking about, okay, Miami is bad and Miami's been bad and Miami has not won a championship and everything. Even if you were to give UCF the national championship, which they did not win, they had 2 winless seasons and multiple other single-hand victory seasons. I'm talking 1, 2, 3, 5. But that's not part of the conversation, right? Oh, we got, this coach here. You had Scott Frost leave kicking and screaming. Now, if Scott Frost would have stayed, you were then looking at UCF potentially starting to get blue chippers to go there. You're looking at, that was when they were on the precipice of being something greater than what they are. That was the window. And then he said, cool, I'm going to go back to where I graduated from. And I get it because, home is where the heart is. And he graduated there and won a Heisman Trophy in Nebraska.
National championship.
And a national, all that.
Not the Heisman.
Not the Heisman, the national championship, not the Heisman, because the Heisman was Crouch. Got it, sorry. But that was the window to really elevate, to make it towards being a Big Four kind of a thing. I don't think that they were ever going to eclipse Miami, Florida, Florida State, and definitely not in taking into consideration what hack job buddy said. It's wholly ridiculous. It's just ridiculous.
So I agree it's ridiculous. I am going to give him 2 points that you alluded to. One being that they have shown under the right conditions that they can bring themselves to a nationally recognized level.
And
under
I agree
a different
with that.
coach.
Right. And I agree with that, but that wasn't what was said. You know what I mean? He said, oh, well, basically Miami's fallen off. Miami's completely trash. We're going to out-recruit them and change the hierarchy, which is a very different situation than saying, in the right circumstances, we can elevate and join that group, which is very different. But that's also a measured take. And we all know that measured takes don't get clicks, but hot takes like the bullshit that he wrote, that does.
And we also know that when you go 12-0 on the group of 5 level, that we have to make some kind of comparison judgment of what that means at the ACC/Power 5 level. It's not the same. We also know that the other leg that I'm going to give him to stand on is that they just hired a coach who has excelled in the SEC at times. I don't want to overstate his success at Auburn. It was top 15 to 20 level most of the time. He did take them to within seconds of winning a national championship. But all the other basis is that even when Miami was down, as Cam alluded to, we're clearly out recruiting UCF at UCF's best. And if there would be any evidence to this, okay, Josh Heupel's final recruiting class in 2021, 54th in the nation, 4th in the American Conference. So again, the key ranking there is 54th in the nation against a Miami class that was what, 12th, 13th, something in that range. And then here in 2022, right now they have 5 hard commits. I could understand trying to get some clicks if they had just been setting the world on fire and we're like Kentucky's 12th right now, and Rutgers is like 14th, which probably aren't going to hold, especially in Rutgers' case. But let's ride the wave and let's get an article out there to stir some conversation, because we actually have something. But they're 58th right now with 5 hard commits, so I'm not getting the impetus for this.
You know, I, again, just wanted to get clicks, just get off his hot take. It wasn't even like when Devontae Jason and Jamar Chase from Louisiana committed to Kansas a couple years ago, like on the same day, and everyone was like, bro, that's not gonna last. You know, and yeah, Jamar Chase that you're thinking of, him as a high school sophomore rising junior committed to Kansas. Yes, look it up. So at that point, if you're like, oh, hey, cool, bro, like, yeah, we can, you know, get hype off of this and blah, 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 blah. Fine. Okay. I don't think it's going to last. You know, but that would have even been a reason to incite this fantastical, and I mean fantastical, like a fantasy, like it's Lord of the Rings or something, fiction that he wrote. But yeah, sorry. And I just tweeted it out. I am so sorry, because I know everybody's like, bro, you have this platform. You know, you're relatively known in, you know, the blogosphere, especially for Miami Hurricanes. You know, I've quite a few thousand followers on Twitter, on the State of You account and everything. Why are you signal boosting this? Why are you putting this out here? Why are you even giving it the time of day if it's such nonsense? And this one just got my blood boiling. It just made me so heated. And I know better. You know what I mean? Like, I know it's just like, if I would have paid it dust, if I would have saw it and scrolled and just nodded and laughed and kept it moving, which I do so much more than you guys think, that would have been the better course of action from a, like, you know, content creation, signal boosting kind of thing. Because I don't want to ascribe any kind of credit to this individual for this asinine piece of filth that he wrote. It just made me so mad. It just made me so mad I had to. Sorry.
Because you alluded to similarities between what you and I do online, which is you understand when you or somebody on your staff has completed a piece, generally what kind of buzz this is going to create and how many clicks. You've got a pretty good, whether that's, this is an amazing piece, and because of the timing and because of everything else, this being a hot button issue, this is going to blow up. But this, we're proud of this too. This is not a clickbait kind of thing. We're also proud of the work here. Here it is. It's going to blow up. And then you've got those that are, okay, well, this is kind of, we just kind of threw this together. Not that it's not legit or reasonable, but it was easy. You know, we just grabbed a tweet. This is kind of the thing of the day, and it may blow up. Versus, I'm sure you've also put some really good work together that you thought, this is going to speak to a certain audience. It's probably not going to go viral and be huge. The click rate's not going to be high, but I'm really proud of this. I wanted to state this. I wanted to research this and put it out there, and a certain audience is going to embrace it.
Yeah, I mean, and there's things. It's funny because JP, shout out to JP, was tweeting with somebody the other day and was just like, man, imagine Lane Kiffin at Miami. Oh, hey, wait. 2015, I wrote that piece for our coaching cycle candidates. That was the genesis of the phrase hashtag Let's Be Jerks. Started from that piece and everything. So JP has a locked account, so I manually retweeted it. I got the link. I went over to the website, said, okay, let me search that up real quick. Boom. Said, I'm just going to quietly place this on the timeline. Boom. Set it out there. I got like a sufficient amount of people quote tweeting my tweet with hashtag Let's Be Jerks. I loved it. You know what I mean? And it fit. And at the time in 2015, when he was offensive coordinator from Alabama, I thought that he was a reasonable candidate for the head coaching job. Now, there are many reasons why he was an unreasonable candidate as well, but that did speak to some people and things like that. But yeah, I'm just not a hot take artist. Like apparently this dude who works at or contributes for whatever that site is. I don't even feel comfortable calling it by the former name of that publication, because it just is not that at all. But yeah, generally have a mind for what's going on or how to put things together. And in so many words, that was not it.
I think it's actually poetic justice that it's known as SI now, and it not clearly being Sports Illustrated.
Right.
It's almost a different entity now.
It is. It really, yeah. Whew.
Falconer X, thank you so much again, sir. I would like to feel bad about Florida being overshadowed by Georgia and Alabama, but I can't. True Miami Hurricanes only hate one in-state team more than FSU. That school is in Gainesville.
Facts. I cannot understand these. Maybe it's with not having a sense of history, and I'm not even a big historian outside of sports. I really don't like social studies. I don't like history like that. Like, I'm not that person. I have good friends who teach social studies. Many. I have 3 of them that are department chairs of social studies at different institutions. I know people who love every single bit of history. If it's not sports related, I don't. But like these newfangled Miami Hurricanes fans, I said newfangled. That's how I'm telling you my age, okay? But who like hate Florida State more than Florida. It boggles my mind, because even though I dislike them, I at least have a begrudging respect for them. Ain't nothing respectable about Florida. So Falconer X, I'm with you on that.
Is it only because you've explained this? I have posed a question and you have eloquently. I wish if I could make an addendum or something to my channel where there could be instant recall and you could say, Cam talked about boop. Okay, that was episode 37 at 13:09. Boom. That would be phenomenal. Anyway, Cam has addressed the Florida State rivalry versus the Florida rivalry and the differences. And he's done it extremely well.
Yeah.
What I remember taking from that was the years and years of the Florida football program dodging Miami.
Yep.
Is that the entire?
No.
Okay.
You had the what was it? The flop that they did to let Miami score to get their quarterback the ball back to like break their passing record the one time. Things like that. I mean, it's just, and the general ethos of people who went to that institution just doesn't. It rubs me the wrong way. I cannot vibe with it. Like, and transparency. I applied to the University of Florida out of high school. I told my guidance counselor or the college counselor at Cranbrook at the time, I said, that's my safety school. And he goes, that's arguably one of the best public universities in America. That's probably the second or third toughest school to get into of the list of schools that you're applying to, living in Michigan and applying from out of state. And I told him clearly, I said, that's my safety school. I'll get in there so I have somewhere to go if I want to. But like, I'm one, not worried or concerned about it. And two, I'm not actually going to go there. And I got in there and they tried me. And I said, I was never going to go there. So it's not even a thing like, oh, well, you couldn't hack it or da-da-da-da. False. Like, verifiably erroneous. You know what I mean? It just, but it boils my blood. And I will also tell you, again, remembering I'm from Detroit, so I'm not somebody who like lived and breathed any of these teams. In our 5th grade recess football league, my team, me and Ryan Powell, were the Florida Gators. So we had like a little sign, and then we had our record because we would rotate through who played whom and like and everything. And that was, I remember it because I made it because I'm not a good artist. So I remember just doing the capital F in orange and outlining it in blue and everything when I was in 5th grade back in that year or whatever and everything. So like, it's not even that I've like always hated them, but when I got to know more about them, there is nothing but detest for them and everyone who loves them.
Your second favorite, that would be the word favorite. Your second favorite current team football program and original football favorite, the University of Michigan, if I'm counting this right in my head, has played an inordinate amount of times against the University of Florida, 5 times since about 2003. So excluding the last and most recent time that they played, in which Michigan had a number of players on the sideline moving on to the NFL draft, and Florida killed them, I believe, like 41-15, something like that, in the Peach Bowl a few years ago. Michigan beat them the other four times that I'm coming up with. I'm coming up with a 2003 Outback Bowl win for Michigan. I'm coming up with a win against Tim Tebow the season he won the Heisman Trophy at the Capital One Bowl in 07. And I'm coming up with Jim Harbaugh winning his first bowl game after the 2015 season in the Citrus Bowl, a shellacking, like a 41-7 win over Florida. And then a season opener about a year and a half later in 2017, where Michigan beat them pretty bad with a couple pick sixes. So 4-1 for the Wolverines against Florida here in the last 17 or 18 years.
And you love to see it.
I'm neutral on that one, but I just love to. I love to recite. I love to recite old games. All right, Chugmo Beer. Appreciate that contribution. Thank you so much for being here as you typically are. Hello, Mark and Cam. Great content as always. Smash the like button. So here's the checklist for you, folks. Smash the like button. Homework assignment would be bring in more folks for our Miami live show with Cam Underwood each week. So whether that's by word of mouth, directly, social media, however you want to do it, please bring more folks in here. And of course, you can contribute as many have here, including Chugmo Beer. Also consider bypassing YouTube through Venmo, PayPal, and Cash App. Just I would ask that you would identify the show that you are contributing to. All right. We had, I will also say, I mentioned this from time to time, that if you have a quote unquote Google question, meaning you can Google who won the 2004 Sugar Bowl, there's no reason for you to ask us that. So we have people asking what Miami's current recruiting ranking is. You can look that up. That's also
it's not in right. That is the thing that you can look up. Number one. Number two, it's not a thing that's indicative of Miami's recruiting at present. And I know that you in the who said the Bill Parcells, your record is who you are who your record says you are, kind of thing. So your recruiting ranking is. Or you are who your recruiting ranking says you are, but also not. In terms of again, as Mark mentioned, UCF with number 12 right now, and Rutgers with number 14 right now. In terms of recruiting rankings, that's not reasonable. That's not going to be the end result. And I don't think that Miami at present, the ranking in the 40s or 50s, whatever it is, that's not going to be the end result of this class. So,
All right. I thought I found a decent question in here.
No, in the pecking order, I do think that Miami has a medium recruiting advantage over Florida State at present. Yeah, not huge, but I do think that there is an advantage there. I can be proven false.
See if you can make something out of this, Cam. D-Rock Irish's question here.
Not just Miami, but why do colleges have a problem to recruit kids in their own regional area? Notre Dame, for example, has a problem getting Chicago area school recruits like in the past. I think it's the focus of the coaching staff and everything. And it's also setting the expectation for what reasonable recruiting results from a given area are. Again, D-Rock Irish, in case you're not always here, the thing with South Florida is there's too many guys for Miami to get all of them. So you have to pick and choose your battles, and hopefully you win more of those battles. But again, you're picking from the top, and everybody wants the guys at the top. Everybody, including Notre Dame. Look, you guys got my guy, the wide receiver from North Broward Prep, Kevin. Damn it!
Oh. Who's on the team right now?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know his name.
Oh, I wanted that kid
Austin.
so bad.
Kevin Austin.
Yes, that's him. I wanted him so bad. And he's from down here. 4-star wide receiver, 6'3", 6'4", 210 pounds. He went up with you guys. You know what I mean? But that was a battle that we fought, and then it looked like, okay, he's looking towards leaving down here. He still wanted to go to a private school kind of institution, looking otherwise, ended up picking Notre Dame. And that was a battle that we fought for as long as we could fight it, and then figured out we were going to probably lose, and then pivoted. But that's going to happen. There's too many guys locally for Miami to get everybody, especially when you have other great institutions. I mean, because there are great institutions, Notre Dame, it being one of them. Other teams that will come down here and recruit these guys and get them. So, or go after them, and then that changes the whole thing. So that's the number one. So, and number two is, what is a reasonable expectation for getting kids from a given local area, right? In the last recruiting class, Miami's class was overwhelmingly from Florida. If I go back to 2021, give me 2 seconds. I promise. I'm almost there. Click, 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 click. Come on, computer. Out of the 22 who enrolled last year to Miami, 18 were from Florida. 1 was from Texas, who was born down here. 3 are from Georgia. And 2 from Georgia, and 1 was from California because Jake Garcia moved across the country. But 18 out of the 22, 19, if you count the tight end Arroyo, from down here. You know what I mean? So 19 to 22, that's really good numbers. Now, were there guys who went elsewhere? Absolutely. But that makes it's okay eventually because you get the guys that you want, the kind of players who can be on the Miami roster. Insofar as other schools, again, it's really just on what is reasonable from there. Is it reasonable for Notre Dame to get a preponderance of guys from the Chicagoland area? No, for a variety of reasons, including the academic standards of your institution, which we've seen be a barrier for entry for others. But is it reasonable to get 3 of the top 5? Given their academic standing and things like that? Yes. Is that the target for you guys? Is that what Brian Kelly, who I hate, and you know why, is that reasonable to go after that number of players and then get that number of players given their position distribution and things like that in a given year? For Notre Dame, nobody really leaves Louisiana, so LSU doesn't count. But Texas A&M, Texas, USC, who looks to be trying to trend towards back being the USC that didn't lose nobody from a bunch of them schools. So it's really dependent upon the philosophy of the coach and the coaching staff and the appeal of the school and the abilities of those recruiters and the connections that they have. Because if it's a little easier to look outside of the really local area, local or regional, depending on what you want to call it, then you're going to go there. Bronco Mendenhall, when he came for the first time in his professional career east of the Mississippi to Virginia, he didn't necessarily look right in Virginia. He said, okay, I got guys from all over the Eastern Seaboard, so we're going to go and connect with the guys' home areas where they have those recruiting inroads, and we're going to pull from there to Virginia. You know what I mean? While still focusing on the guys locally, but then leaning into where the other coaches can recruit from. So it's really just a matter of the prism through which you're viewing recruiting and what reasonable is depending on the school, the position distribution of those players, and obviously the needs of the roster. So kind of something like that.
I believe it was just last night during our call-in show that Chuck C here offered me 2 tickets to the Miami-Alabama game. Said, nice. I got 2 tickets for you. If you can get down here, I got 2 tickets for you. Chuck C, I appreciate that. Anyway, got a big question here for Cam. Hi, Mark. Can you give my last question to Cam, please? Will Nesta Silvera take another step this year? All ACC consideration for sure, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
All American consideration and play, probably all about my Alabama impact. It's not all about the Alabama impact, but that's going to be whatever he does in that. Whatever Miami does corporately, collectively against Alabama is going to be a major talking point throughout the season because everybody's going to be watching that game. That's just how it works. Nesta Silvera should be in contention for an all-ACC team. I don't know about all-ACC first team just because Miami has been undervoted for years in that. But in contention, for an all-ACC team, I expect that from him. Anything past that would be gravy. So if you're talking about he's having a first-team all-ACC season, then maybe All-American mention, or something in that realm. But I definitely expect from Nessa Silvera at least an all ACC team consideration, whether it be first, second, third, at a minimum for him this season, especially if Miami's going to have the kind of season that I believe that we're going to and should.
Our Miami show here each and every week is only possible because of the contribution and the presence of one at Cam Underwood, State of the U. And so we appreciate him. Hope all of you do as well. We appreciate many of you who contributed. Please consider contributing one time or on a regular basis. And of course, thank you for liking the video, sharing these videos out on social media, or just letting people know word of mouth that we're here talking Miami football on a regular basis. Cam, State of the U, what you got there?
A bunch of good stuff, man. So we got some player profiles already. One of the players that is the most polarizing on the roster, arguably, I will say, Mark Pope. So Roman already wrote that one, so scheduled and published that. Jake Garcia already had his up there, and there's a couple others working on our early game previews. Justin DeTavio with his summer scheming is already 3 teams deep. Well, 4 teams because he already did a self-scout of Miami. 3 teams. So self-scout of Miami, Alabama, and then today the Appalachian State early scouting preview went up. Got a couple more. I would steal that. Roman with his scheme theme, looking at things to steal for Miami's offense to be more explosive and dynamic. Player profiles, position previews, top 5 Tuesday, where we looked at 5 of the top Miami Hurricanes fans this week Tuesday. All that and more coming up this summer. And I have a window open where I'm writing another recruiting piece because we all know that on Fridays, we got recruiting Fridays. So I got to put stuff up about that and everything. So, we're just trying to get all the way through the summer while we're 72 or 71 days, I believe, away from kickoff in Atlanta. So looking forward to that. So like I said, stateoftheu.com is the website, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at The State of the U. My personal account is at Underwood Sports. And we got Top Chef, the episode before the finale tonight. Even though I usually watch that a couple days later so I can get my full attention because it's already on at 8 o'clock, but whatever. So all that and more. So please come on over and fan with us so we can have some fun.
Honoring DeAndre, BGPO Football Funk's super chat, Clemson would beat Miami by 40 this year. Okay.
I mean, we'll see.
I was not asked earlier. Hurricane Logan asked Cam what the Florida State Miami score would be. I immediately came up with this score. 42-13 would be my score. Nobody asked me, but 42-13 Miami. So I'm going to go 38-24 Clemson. I think that's about a 2-touchdown game. That's the way it hits me right now.
As of right now in June, I think that's fair. Again, still, accounting for what will happen with both of those teams through the course of the year. But at this point in time, I think that a 2-score game, a 2-touchdown game seems reasonable. Anything past that 40, I don't think so, but they've unfortunately proven wrong on that a couple times recently. We'll see. But yeah, I think it would be more competitive than that this year. And I hope if those teams met in Charlotte for the ACC Championship game, that it would be more competitive than the 40-burger that BGPO Football Funk prognosticates.
Yes, both teams will, of course, have 12 games under their belts at that point for us to have a pretty good beat on how good they are. Cam Underwood, State of the U, getting the job done as always. Appreciate it, Cam.
That's what we do, man. Thanks for having me. See you guys soon.